Okay, I hope I can demonstrate what I got going on here. But my knife is now clamped into a flat, level, parallel, squared up assembly. And everything is referenced. See, your entire knife, visually and physically, is based on that ricasso guard area. And everything travels away from that. We need to keep things centered on that. So what I've done is, this is a fine tip felt pen that I've got dialed in to where it's right in the center of the knife. So if I make, you can see where I've made just a felt tip mark. That's the center of that guard, right? And as you'll see, of course, I'm kind of moving things around here. I can come right over to the cutting edge of that knife. I'm right on the cutting edge of that knife. That knife is straight and true. I have also already come around so hard. I should have put, you can see I've scribed a line, and I'm right in the center of that butt cap. Right in the center of that butt cap is where center is. I've come 6 inches away, but I know where center is. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to adjust my felt pen to where the top edge of the ricasso is. Top side. And I can transfer that to the butt cap. I can transfer that to where the top edge is. Bring her back and dial her down to the bottom edge. I should be doing that same thing on the guard. We'll get there in a little bit. Come right back, and there's the bottom edge of my flat. That's where the flats will be on my butt cap. I can come around over here. Here's not, I don't even have to mark that. But anyway, you understand. I can also come back, find my center when the time comes, and I'm going to transfer those lines right to the handle material as well. Handy little gadget. And this thing also works sometimes. You can stand it up like that, and if you have to transfer something from one side of the knife to the other side of the knife, you can do it that way too. Okay, and now this is our, remember our lines, this is our roughly shaped butt cap that I can start approaching some shaping on the handle when I get this assembled on there. And now our guard is still looking way enormously huge. So basically, it's just going to be a much larger version of the butt cap. And if you remember that picture I posted of the that I put on here of the basic design I'm headed for, next thing I'll do is I'm tired of looking at this ugly guard. I want it to start looking like something. So the next thing I'm going to do is do a basic shape on that guard. All right. Here's another little trick on using my gadget over here with my felt pen. Is you can set this butt cap on there and be rotated one way or another off center, right? Well, at one point I scribed a center line on the butt cap. What I do is I line it up with the center line on my handle material, and that way I know I'm not rotated. I don't have this thing cockeyed off center. So, and then when I pin this on there, I will use a center line indicator when I to locate my pins, so that I make sure my oval isn't, you know, twisted around. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but I scribed the profile of the spacer on the back of that guard, because when I do my oval guard on this, I want it to be to be a little proud of the spacer, you know, 30 or 40 thousandths, not much. I only want it to be a big guard like I only want it to be about an inch wide, maybe a little more. But anyway, I'll just, when I create my profile, that'll get me in the right place. Okay, now for the first time, my hardware is basically starting to take on its personality that it's going to keep. It's still going to get reduced in its dimensions. It's going to get dialed in, the guard's going to get thinner and so forth, but the things are centered and trued up and squared up where they need to be, and now I'm going to lock this in my knife vise, and I'm going to start knocking off handle material and make it take on the shape of my hardware. And I'll show you how that's done here. This is my knife vise. It's a heavy sumbitch. It's but and I know I made this thing 10 years ago. Literally, I found most of this stuff, some pipes buried in the ground, and I dug them out, and damn, they fit. So this is my knife vise. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that knife vise. It's a receiver I have for it, a pipe here on the bottom, and I'm going to bring it over. Excuse me, and I'm going to set it in my, this knife vise, and set it in the pipe vise. Hang on. And with this in there, I can change the, you know how these pipe vices are. I can change the angle of things. I can rotate my pipe vise. I can spin the pipe vise around, which by the way is on a pedestal, so I can access everything, right? I can spin this thing, or I spin it this way. I can rotate it this way, and I can rotate it this way. So there's about no place I can't go with my knife. Please remember, I'm doing this all one-handed. So I stick it in, and of course it can stick out the back end. I will lock this thing in there tight, like so. Get me positioned something like that. Lock that down tight. Rotate it at about the angle I want it to be, and then lock my vise in. This thing's solid as a rock. Now, I just keep a little magnet here on my vise for that. I'm going to start shaping this handle, and I'll throw this camera on a tripod and you can see what I got going on. Okay, I'm going to start removing this handle material with this cabinet maker's rasp, right? And this thing is not just a rasp that you buy in the hardware store. These things are, right now I think these things like 70, 80 bucks. But I have literally been using this for 15 years. And I'm still using it. And just to give you an idea, look at the material just grind off of there. This is a cabinet maker's rasp. This is a high quality piece of equipment that when you see gun stock makers shaping gun stocks and stuff, this is what they're using. And it was, once again, Jerry Radis taught me from the very beginning that to not grind handle material. I do not grind any handle material. It heats the material up, and if you want handle material to stay basically stable, don't ever get it hot. I've already got about a quarter of this knife shaped. You don't get it hot, and it'll be much more stable in the long run. It won't move so much. Make fewer mistakes. Once again, slower equals better, better equals faster. I don't have corrections to make, and I have yet to this day intentionally bought grinding belts to shape handle material. I don't do it. I use a 36 grit belt every now and then on a 2-inch wheel my two-dimensional handle materials to knock the corners off. And then once I've done that and started to get the oval cross section of most knife handles, I then go to my file and I finish them with files. I don't make mistakes, and it's I don't fill my shop with dust. I don't have to buy belts. Simply designed for handle material. And I know I just haven't hardly spent any time here, but as you, I don't know if you can see this on the camera or not, I've shaped 25% of this handle. I can come here from the rear, go in that direction. Now I'm going to shape it's a square corner here, but I mean, it just let the big dog eat, you know. On some materials that are a little bit softer, this thing will remove material so fast it can almost get in trouble just with the file. It's some good hard walnut, man, and it is beautiful. Leave everything big. My hardware is big. It needs to be reduced. So anyway, you guys get the idea. I'm going to shut my camera off and keep on keeping on. That kind of hard. God, that's so much better. I'm sorry about that lighting, guys. But you can see what I've accomplished already. I'm halfway done with the overall profile of the handle. The whole top half is rounded over and taking the shape. And I haven't spent much time and didn't fill my shop full of dust, and the only dust you see right now is right down there on the floor. That's the handle material, and it's on the floor in big chunks. It's not all over the shop and in the air and making a mess of things. You kidding me? Oh, there we go. What is going on with my light? There we go. Alright, back to work. I'll shut this off. It's all about gradually just creeping up on things, you know, on lines, and you always leave your parts and pieces big and reduce them as you can. So after I get done with the cabinet maker's rasp, I switch to another half round, but sort of a coarse half round, but it's pretty big. It's a pretty big chunk of stuff. But this I use to then clean up the rough teeth marks of the cabinet maker's rasp, continually getting closer and closer to my final dimensions. But I don't want to get there too soon. I'm leaving everything big, everything tall, everything proud. I don't care if I hit my guard material or anything, because it needs to be reduced as well. They're still big. So it's all about gradually getting where you're going. You don't want to get there too soon. Spoil all the fun, wouldn't it?